Hello, everyone. My, my name's Paul Stevens, and it's a pleasure to welcome you all to this short-term rentals webinar, Customer Lifetime Value, How to Increase Revenue, Shift Orphan Nights, and Pitch Upsells, sponsored by TouchStay. Now, I'm the editor of Short-Term Rentals here at International Hospitality Media and the host for today's session. And before we begin, I'd like to just introduce Tyann from our sponsors TouchStay today. So Tyann, please introduce yourself and TouchStay.
Thanks so much, Paul. Hey guys, I'm Tyann Marcink Hammond with TouchStay Digital Guidebooks. I'm the queen of guest experience. TouchStay has brought this webinar to you guys with some amazing panelists. Really quick, TouchStay is a digital guidebook where we strive to keep your life simple. So answering guest questions before they ask so you can gain operational efficiencies and higher guest satisfaction, so you can achieve what we're talking about today, the customer lifetime value, that you can be more profitable and sustainable business. Like I said, I'm with TouchStay, but I'm also a property manager like you. This is my 16th year, started way back when, and had my last child. And so he's 16 now, so it's easy to keep that in my head. But I have two brands of boutique properties in Missouri, down in Branson, and also in wine country. Total of 21 properties. We've grown dramatically over this last year. Keeps life busy for sure. Paul, back to you.
Thank you, Tyann. Perfectly teed up there. And yes, we've got some excellent speakers who we'll just introduce in just a moment. So before we begin, please just keep your sound on mute and your camera off if you're not a speaker today. All of the details will be posted in the chat by my colleagues Joe and Danny, so please do post any questions you have there throughout today's session. Our discussion should last roughly around 45 minutes before we move on to some audience questions. And finally, a recording will be sent out to everyone within 48 hours of the session. So let's get back to our speaker lineup for today. And we're going to ask first, please, Isaac, just introduce yourself, please.
Thanks, Paul, and I'm honored to be here. My name is Isaac French, and I founded Live Oak Lake, which is a 7-cabin modern outdoor retreat in Central Texas. I designed and built the property from the ground up back in 2021, opened our doors January of 2022, and fast forward a year and a half, we have 160,000 followers on social media. We have 95% occupancy. About 80% of all bookings come direct because of our social following, and about 40,000 email subscribers as well. So I'm happy to be here today and contribute and learn from the others.
Some incredible numbers there, Isaac, and we'll be delving into that a little bit more very shortly. Next up, please, Dale, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi guys, thanks for having me on. So I'm Dale Smith. I'm the CEO and founder of Host and Stay, and we're a UK-based holiday home and short-term rental management business. We reached a pretty cool milestone last week. We now surpassed 1,000 properties under management in the UK. I think 1,016 as of today, to be precise. So it's been a great journey for us. We set up Host and Stay as a brand in December 2018, and we had 9 properties under management at that time. So we've grown quickly. It's been an interesting journey so far, and looking forward to what the future holds for short-term rentals.
Thank you, Dale. And last but my name is Lee. We've got Lauren.
Hey, y'all. So I'm Lauren Madewell with Auntie Belham's Cabin Rentals over in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee. So that's like Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, huge market in the States. And this year, January, we'll be turning 30 this year. It's my family's business. My mom and dad own it. My sister and I are the succession plan. We love what we do, and we're excited to turn 30. Been doing it a minute. And I've been with Auntie Belham since college, so about 12 years.
Excellent. We'll be learning a lot more about Auntie Belham's cabins very soon, and your relationship with the industry. So thank you, Lauren, and thank you to all of our panelists today. So just to add a little bit of context to today's discussion, you can check out my interview with Tyann at this year's Scale Rental Show back in Barcelona, all the way back in May, I think it was. And then last March as well, we also covered TouchStay's seed funding round. So lots more to come in today's discussion. let's jump straight in though, and I'm going to turn first to Tyann really, and we've had a little bit of an introduction there to TouchStay, and we'll hear a little bit more about everyone's businesses, all your backgrounds, and how you all you're all bringing lots of value to the short-term rental industry. But Tyann, with TouchStay, you've got these digital guidebooks. The number of guests that you're working with is increasing every year too. So I'd like to obviously know a little bit more about TouchStay, but also your own property management business and how you've been able to drive revenue growth there too.
Thanks, Paul. So TouchStay, yes, we hit 3 million guests this year that we've served. Just in 2023, we're over 30 plus countries. We're a global company, lots of translations available, native translations, not Google. We have Google, but you also have lots of native. And then we've really put into integrations this year. So integrating with a lot of PMSs, which then is we've hit over 35,000 properties in the year. Digital guidebooks by TouchStay has been one of the key factors of my growth too, because I've been able to give my guests that higher guest satisfaction through the communications of the digital guidebooks. My biggest driver of growth this year, though, has actually been my current homeowners. My current homeowners decided to build or buy additional properties. So in my Branson brand, last summer, we only had 5 properties. My team is out right now onboarding property number 14, I believe. So massive growth for us. We'll finish off the year with another 2 that are being built by current clients as well. And we're very much a slow growth on purpose. We do large houses. They take a lot of time, a lot of onboarding. But we also want to make sure that we're working with the right homeowners, because as my fellow panelists know, if you've got a homeowner that doesn't quite jive with you, whether it's personality or business ethics or business model, it causes a lot of stress to the team, and it's not worth it. So we've been very, very particular and very specific with our non-negotiables, and that's given us really good growth in the way we want to do it. And what means is our guests, after 12 years, we'll get emails and say, hey, we were there for my mom's 80th birthday. It is now dad's 90th birthday, and we're coming back. Where can we stay? What do you have? Because we only want to stay with you.
And that slow growth as well, you call it that very intentionally. But how has that kind of coincided with the growth of TouchStay over that time, and the people that you're working with, the travelers using the guidebooks?
So TouchStay's put out a lot of new features over the past couple of years, especially in the past 2 years. So in 2020, we didn't slow down as far as everybody shutting things down. Instead, we refactored our entire back end to prep for all of that growth. So we have now Memo, which is our notification feature by email and SMS. So that helps tremendously in notifying your guest and communicating with your guest. So TouchStay's leaned heavily into the communications. We've got an excellent white paper coming out very, very soon that pulls that data of guest experience and communications and the guest satisfaction, where a lot of people think, well, you don't have the data. I'm not sure if what's really working. I was like, yes, in my life, in my property management life, I see it working. I've tested it myself, but now we're going to have this actual data that shows how important communications are, how important a digital guidebook is, and how important it is to wrap your guests up with that care and the love languages. And then what really happens with your business, does it increase revenue? Yes. Does it increase guest satisfaction in those reviews? Yes. So that's something exciting coming out really soon.
Fantastic. Thank you, Tyann. And I think one of the really interesting things about this panel is we've got Tyann from TouchStay yourself. We've got some TouchStay users and some non-TouchStay users as well. So I'd like to go first to Isaac, actually, because at the moment you're not a TouchStay user, but you're a relatively new brand as well that is expanding as well. I've seen your presence on social media, and a lot of the sort of USP with your business seems to be around minimalist design, especially. But I'd like to learn a little bit more about Live Oak Lake, and also what do you see has been the main revenue driver for growth since your founding?
Yeah, so the whole thesis behind creating Live Oak Lake was we were going to spend a lot on a little, with the hopes that we could create a really differentiated, design-oriented, unique experience for our guests, transportive, a place where people would come and feel like they were going into another world. And I am pleased to say I think we succeeded. We have guests coming back 4 times in 1 year. And then just the numbers I alluded to earlier, I think, tell that story as well. But it really comes down to the product or the experience that we're actually offering, which is this European vibe, cabins nestled around a lake, very, very unique for Texas, period. And we're within an hour and a half to 2 hours from about 17 million people. So we're very strategically centered in a large metro population area. And then as far as when we launched in January of 2022, nobody knew who we were, and I had not made any effort to build in public or to share anything. So we hit the ground running. It all started because we got suspended on Airbnb about 3 weeks after we opened. No warning, no reason. Ended up being an algorithm glitch where they thought we had too many good reviews, literally, for when we had started. But it became a real blessing in disguise, because it enabled me to launch the social media efforts. So we started collaborating with influencers and doing giveaways and other partnerships, and that just supercharged our growth on Instagram to about 50,000 followers in the first 6 months. And then Instagram as a platform was pivoting towards Reels, and so we started investing heavily in putting out really quality content consistently. And then since that time, have grown another 100,000 followers. And so with that explosion in eyeballs, we've raised our prices, 10 different times probably, and we're about 3x what we were when we launched. I would say, and in keeping with the topic for today, one of the biggest factors, besides just having an incredible experience and highly amenitized, has been the upsells, the a la carte amenities, which generate around $74,000 a year in bottom line profit on 7 doors. So that's about almost $11,000 per unit. And those are 4 main things. Experience packages. So we have a romance and a birthday package that we charge $200 for. It costs us about $100 to put together. And then we have early check-in fees, which don't cost us any extra, pet fees, and pellet packs. So we sell wood pellet packs for the fire pits. And these are just the 4 that we chose to charge, versus all the other amenities we offer for free, including EV chargers, and then the container pool, hot tubs, trails, kayaks, paddleboards, et cetera, et cetera. But those 4 fees are highly profitable. And we landed at those because we were just listening closely to what the guests had to say. And we noticed patterns of constantly asking for, we have a lot of romantic couple getaways. So we noticed a lot of requests for a bottle of wine and some flowers and a cake. And so we created the romance experience around that. And then, of course, early check-in is a common one that probably everyone deals with. But instead of just always accommodating it and having it be a pain operationally, we just added that as an upsell when the guests purchase at the reservation creation. So yeah, between those 4 fees, adding $74,000 a year for a 7-unit property has been a substantial revenue boost.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Isaac. Lots of detail to unpack there as well. I'll turn to Dale next, because Dale, you are a TouchStay user. I should say congratulations. You're now also the Scale Up Entrepreneur of the Year. I saw that on social media yesterday. But I think you're part of a really interesting company. It's the group of company called SDD Smith Group, which maybe a lot of people will now be familiar with, and some still might not be. But your growth has been quite significant as well. You've done, I believe, your first acquisition this year with your host and stay business, and you've now, and you said that you've just passed 1K properties under management. So what like with the other panelists, what has been the secret to driving revenue as you've scaled?
I think in the early days, so you're right, Paul. So our host and stay business is very much at the core of the SDD Smith Group, and the wider SDD Smith Group. Essentially, we provide real estate services from start to finish. So our perfect client is we catch them at the very beginning when they're first purchasing the property, and we'll provide financial forecasts through our host and stay business for what we think that property can generate from a revenue and income point of view as a short-term rental. And then they'll get passed to our interior design business and our construction business to carry out the refurbishment work for that property, to get the interior design and furnishings to the right standard for the host and stay portfolio. And we'll guide them on that journey of how they can maximize revenue through, the right design and utilization of the property. And then obviously on the back end, we've then got the host and stay management piece. And our real key point of difference in host and stay is that we fully manage. So of those 1,000 properties on the portfolio today, we actually fully manage 77% of those in-house with our own housekeeping staff, our own maintenance staff. So as a group, we employ over 400 people. So we're very, very heavily operational, which in terms of the UK market is quite unique, because most of the bigger players in the short-term rental space will outsource to third parties a lot of that kind of hands-on activity. So that's our USP. And back on that revenue piece, that's enabled us to build margin all the way through the journey. So we don't have to be expensive, so to speak, on any part of that. Our management fees are probably the lowest in the industry, but we're able to stack that margin up by providing multiple services through that journey. And at the end of it, we get to build a great relationship with the client, but we also get a product that we know we can sell to that end guest and that end user as well. And certainly as we've grown, our mindset has shifted a little bit, in the sense of when we look at everything we provide to a property owner, we're I don't want to say we're maxed out on what revenue we can generate from property owners, because again, we're always looking at ways to incorporate other services. And certainly with the regulation changes, we see lots of potential of building that further, where owners will need more guidance, more things done with them if licensing comes in. We've seen fire regulation changes in the UK this month. So, we intend to build out more services around that. But we very much see the growth of our ancillary revenue through that guest channel, because as our portfolio scales, it's the guest count that scales, kind of unlimited, if you like, in the sense of over the years to come. And that's where we really see the future and the things that we're looking at. What additional services can we provide to guests? Isaac's touched on some great stuff in terms of, experiences, early check-ins, late checkouts. Again, we are a touch stay user and have been for several years now as well. So we're always looking what else can we incorporate into that guide that's going to, potentially increase guest experience or also increase guest experience while generating revenue for us as well. So I think it's very much getting the balance between the two. What can you generate from an owner, but knowing there's a limit on that ultimately on a percentage basis, whereas from a guest point of view, it really is exponential. So, that's the bit we're excited about. And certainly at scale, every £1, £5, £10 now makes a massive difference to us on the size of what the portfolio is. So, yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Dale, for that. I'll turn now to Lauren, because coming back, you're not a TouchStay user at the moment, but I think we've got some very, very different businesses represented on the panel. What I think is fascinating about your business is this is a family-owned business. I believe it was 28 years or something. I'm not too sure exactly on the scale at the moment, but what are you able to tap into to really maximize your revenue, particularly in such a specific market?
Okay, dokie. So we're like 130 properties right now. Our website might show like 120 something, but we're onboarding some. So we're like at 130. We actually started the year with 100, and this has been some organic growth because things are very in flux right now. And we've worked hard for our Google standing, and it's sent us a lot of business. So we don't actually have any homeowner campaigns right now. It's organic, and that's something that we're proud of. But I've actually made like quite a list of the things that really help us with revenue growth. So I'm kind of just like rapid fire them off. Some people will be like, yep, do that. Some people might be like, ooh, I want to know more about that. And just letting you guys know,
we're here to learn, Lauren.
Okay. So good email campaigns, we take that really seriously. I don't know the number, but it's bringing us tens of thousands of dollars every month. We usually do a property spotlight. It'll be a new to the programs because we want to fluff up its calendar. It might be a property that's struggling a little bit. We want to fluff up its calendar, or if we're doing great, we just kind of pick one at random, one that might be perfect for that particular season. We also will usually do a special or a discount, even if it's just nothing major going on for the season. It's just like, are you a senior citizen? Are you, in the medical field or a cop or military or anything like that? Or if it's a property that's struggling, we'll throw a discount on there. And then we do a blog on local stuff, of course. And I've grown very proud of our blogs, actually. They try to find like the hidden gems. Another one that helps us tremendously is the Explory free ticket program. We've been using them for probably 10 years or more right now. And so our particular market, we have a lot of attractions. And so with that, you kind of pick and choose your program, what attractions you want to work with, and the guests get one free ticket to all of those attractions. For us, it's like 10 right now, every day. They don't accumulate, but it starts over every day so that they can kind of pick and choose where and when they want to go. We've been doing annual sales for quite a long time, and we've been doing them, like I said, we're going on 30 years. And so like the past few years, it's been like a 25% off sale one day, 26, 27, 30 is a little outrageous. And so, and plus, like the month leading up to that, you do increase your rates a little bit so that it's a slow, like low key process to kind of balance things out a little bit, but still 30% is intense. So rather than doing a 30% off sale, I think we're going to do like 30 days of giveaways or something like that. But yeah, we've been doing an annual 1-day sale. Within that 24 hours of time, any cabin that you book, any time of year, even a holiday, you get X% off. And that's like the business we do. Those are $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 days, depending on the year. We do big discounts during slow seasons. We haven't done it in the past 2 years, but like book 3 nights, only pay for 2. Book 3 nights, get 1 free, sort of a thing. Pet-friendly properties have been tremendous because in our experience, the guests create more damage than the pets ever really do. So the pets are coming and you're collecting a pretty handsome pet fee. Really, you're just collecting that for the most part. We have in-house cancellation and reschedule policy, and it's incredibly gracious. We don't work with travel insurance anymore. Travel insurance was honestly so problematic that when the guests would get worked up, we would get the negative review and not the insurance company. So we have, just like I said, a really gracious in-house cancellation and reschedule policy depending on the size of the property. Be friends with local businesses, make friends, because if for whatever reason they're talking to a homeowner that they don't think is the right fit for their property, they will send them your way. And vice versa. If you're talking to somebody and they're not a good fit for you, but you want them taken care of, you have somebody to send them to. It shows that you're plugged in, and they'll always think of you, and they'll tell other people that they know. And then when your properties are just genuinely well kept, when you take your housekeeping seriously, when you take your maintenance seriously, and your properties are well kept, when these vendors are going in, when these real estate agents are going in, when whoever these third parties are going in and they're seeing that compared to everybody else's, they're going to be recommending you to, the spectrum of people that they're talking with. And so that's what I've got.
Fantastic, Lauren. Again, lots of detail, and I'm sure we will touch on lots of those details very shortly too. Now going back to Tyann as well, you've been in the business now with Touchday, and you've expanded now into, I believe, like 30+ countries. You've got 35,000 active digital guidebooks too. So what would you say if you had one major lesson that you've learned in this time about whether it be margins or whether it be what guests are paying extra for or as add-ons? What would you pick out as the highlight?
The highlights as far as Touchday goes is you got to tell your guests that it's even available. If the guests don't know you have the upsells, that you don't don't know you have the extra services, then they're not going to do it. The other thing is with the digital guidebook, you want to connect to those local services and to the local businesses. And as Lauren was saying, you know, connect with your community. And this is a really good way to connect. What I personally do is we'll go talk to folks and even get specials just for our guests. So then our guests can just flash the digital guidebook and say, hey, I'm a guest of Nat and Tyann. Here's a special. And then they get whatever the special is, whether it's a free dessert or 10% off, or just maybe even a special VIP seating at a show. So there's different things that you can do there.
Fantastic. So it's a similar question really to you, Isaac. Now, I think I'm right in thinking that you're up to 7 cabins, or sometimes it's called landscape hotels as well. So perhaps using your social media, what tips would you have for people tuning in today, successful strategies that you've done to drive revenue or to shift orphan nights as well?
So assuming you have a great Instagrammable worthy property, I would say the number one thing is, when you're starting out, the influencer collaborations. So I spent 2 hours a day on Instagram for 6 months, just pounding the pavement, finding influencers. And it's a bit of a landmine because some of them have unengaged followings. And so you have to learn to read the authenticity. But the best ones, to give you a picture, the first giveaway we ever did, we paid $900 to a travel blogger account. They ran a giveaway. So we gave away a 2-night stay, and the participants simply had to follow my account. So I was basically leveraging her following to follow my account. So they simply had to follow my account and then tag other users for extra entries. And we got 5,000 followers, as well as $40,000 of direct bookings in 1 week from a $900 giveaway. So that was the first big one. And then that we spent about $40,000 in the first 6 months and gave away about 33 nights. But that supercharged our following, which speaking of customer lifetime value here, is very valuable. And to touch on what Lauren said, it's not just Instagram, but we're then nurturing them through our email list. So eventually they're going to sign up to our emails, and they're going to just start seeing us in all these different places. And then at the right time, we're going to be top of mind for them when they want to come and book a stay. But the beautiful thing is you get the immediate fruit of the bookings when you run those collaborations, because we do a 10% discount code unique to the influencer. And so it incentivizes all of their followers to book, good for 7 days only when we run those giveaways. We get a bunch of bookings that way. And then as far as orphan nights, we don't have very many because we're very occupied. We're 95%. But for the few that we have, a strategy that has been effective for us is then we can also leverage that Instagram following. I suppose you could do the same with email. We'll post stories saying, hey, we have a last minute opening on this day or this day or this day. And we'll do that once a week or once every 2 weeks or so. And because of our reach, we fill those up very quickly because we obviously dynamically price. And so there'll be a discounted stay. And there's always some local guests or would-be guests that want to book. They're just looking for the right opportunity. So between both of those strategies and just emphasizing the value of social media, there's a lot of juice to squeeze.
Thank you for that, Isaac. And back to Dale as well. Of course, we've spoken a little bit about how you've been extending your UK portfolio with the acquisition of Host So Simple in Liverpool as well. So I think you've got a lot of experience to answer this question, and it's, I guess, what offerings have you found in your time at Host and Stay and SDD Smith Group have sort of presented the most lucrative margins for you over time?
I think if we look at the guest side of things, certainly we've been running, we charge booking fees as one example, which for us we never used to in the beginning. So that for us has been an additional way to drive revenue that doesn't necessarily carry direct associated costs with it. We've put in some tools, dynamic pricing, etc., that I suppose helping to drive bookings and drive revenue, but certainly booking fees was only something we brought in several years ago and never kind of set out with. And then the more recent one for us is damage waivers. We brought damage waivers in again about 18 months ago, maybe just under. That will be a big income stream for us and a big margin area for us. And I suppose we're starting to see some differences now. However, so the original, let's call it host and stay portfolio, is very coastal and very rural. So our damage rate was very, very low naturally. So we never really felt there was any necessary need to have damage waivers, although you would from time to time get it. And then as we've moved more into urban markets, so you're pointing on the acquisition of Host So Simple, which is now about 170 properties in Liverpool, obviously different demographic, urban, much more transient in terms of shorter nights, in terms of what that guest profile looks like, where you are going to get more damage just as a percentage of booking volume. So that damage waiver, is more relevant there. We do more guest vetting from that point of view as well. But if we look at it, in putting in place guest damage waivers in the last 12 months will have a massive impact on our bottom line this year. So, and I think it doesn't really matter what size of business you are. It's great from an owner point of view because it's putting protection in place. It is good from a guest point of view because if they buy the waiver, for us, it's £25 for £500 worth of coverage for accidental damage, and stuff does happen. So from a guest point of view, they are getting value. You never know, like I was told, so we have one of our own holiday homes that we used for the first time at New Year, and literally we've been in there 30 minutes and the kids had spilt stuff on the carpet. Like, things happen. So it adds value from both sides, and obviously from our point of view as well, as long as it's managed the right way, is a great revenue stream and a margin generator for us as well. So they're probably the two that kind of stand out for me on the guest side. Whereas on the owner front, we've probably not got anything unique from that point of view because we've always set out as full management and tried to provide those services. For us, it's on that side from an owner point of view, really looking to say, what other services do owners need? And actually, if it's something we're currently outsourcing to a third party, can we bring that in-house? Does it make sense for us to bring that in-house and increase our margin on that particular service or that particular product? And that's how we'll approach it from an owner perspective.
And actually, so just because it was really fascinating to listen to that, but you are the TouchStay user on the panel as well. So how are you going about presenting upsells to guests alongside your growth?
So yeah, right. So we use the TouchStay guide. So that gets sent to every guest via email and via SMS prior to check-in. We are just about to launch the Host and Stay app, probably within the next 3 or 4 weeks, touch wood, hopefully. And within that app, the TouchStay guide is integrated into that app. So what we'll be encouraging guests to do at that point in time is to download the app so they can access that property guide to again get those check-in details, etc. What we're then doing within the Host and Stay app, we've got a product which is called Stay Local. So a number of panelists have commented so far in terms of working with local businesses. So we're working with local businesses in the areas that we've got volume to provide discounts, incentives to our guests that they'll then access via the Host and Stay app as well. And we will look at actually retailing that as a product to guests, because if we've got a price point of that, of let's say £19.99 for a guest stay, they're probably going to be saving £150, £200 on average. So there's massive value in it to the guest. There's revenue opportunity for us, and the local retailers that we're working with know they're going to get guaranteed footfall from Host and Stay guests. Plus, we're also installing beacon technology in each of those local retailers so that we can get push notifications out to guests and market to them, prior to arrival for big events and things like that. So, it kind of hits all of those areas for us from a community point of view as well. We want to make sure that when guests come and stay in our properties, they're engaging with local businesses. They're not going to a Starbucks and a McDonald's and all of those. Ultimately, we want to keep the pounds local.
Thanks, Dale. I'll go back to Lauren. I see Lauren clapping there, and also making lots of notes on Isaac's speech there as well. But Lauren, you've heard from the other panelists as well, and I know with Auntie Belham's cabins as well, you're catering to groups, you're catering to individuals, you're catering to groups with pets as well. So several different demographics. How do you go about presenting these upsells to guests? And is there anything that you found to be particularly successful when it comes to driving those sales?
So we actually we don't have any upsells at this moment. I'm totally open to it. It's just not something that we're doing right now. I have like so many projects and ideas in the works, and you know, we're really training our reservation staff, like, and we're bringing them into the depths of things so that they're not just simply taking reservations. And we've been going heavily on that. So upsells, that's not something we focus on right now. Really, because I'm in such a big market, like with romance packages and firewood and kayaks and rentals and stuff like that, there are so many local businesses in town that are already doing that, that we have a list of those sources. And if a guest is reaching out for them, we just get them and we just put them in touch with those local businesses.
Fantastic. And I've got a next question, but first we've got a Touch Day video that we're wanting to share. So I will return to you very shortly, Lauren, and we'll just watch this video.
Welcome to Touch Day, the digital guidebook that makes your guests happier. So what exactly is Touch Day? Touch Day digital guidebooks accelerate the guest experience, replacing and revolutionizing the printed welcome books and leaflets of the past. The online format is convenient and easy to use, helping you to answer all your guest questions so you receive fewer of them. It works by storing your information in a single online location. Then, we present it in an easy-to-use format that guests love. It looks beautiful on any device or computer, works offline, and can even be saved to a PDF and printed. And if you're wondering what the ROI is, it's simple. Fewer questions mean you'll have more time to run your business. Plus, happier guests lead to better reviews, and better reviews lead to more bookings. It really is that simple. So why not give us a try? Create your digital guidebook today at touchday.com.
So thank you to Touch Day, our sponsor for today, for that video. Just a reminder to everyone as well tuning in today, if you've got any questions for any of our panelists, especially for Tyann as well and the Touch Day team, then please do post them in the chat and we'll make sure we've got enough time at the end. I've seen one or two coming in already, so please do put them in the chat there. So I'll return to you, Lauren. Maybe that question was that previous question was slightly unfair on you, but I think you were talking there about romance bookings as well being on trend right now. What are you potentially doing to encourage repeat bookings, or when it comes to recommendations for further guests? Is that a big opportunity there for you, would you say?
Oh yeah, so to encourage repeat bookings, I mean, the main thing is just hospitality. Just like, really, you hear the term because of the book, unreasonable hospitality, but just genuine kindness. You know, our reservation is we don't, some conversations go on for a long time, but there's no time limit. Like, get chummy with the guests, talk to the guests. If, when they're talking, there are so many context clues that you can just ask them about, pick their brain about, get them going, just establish that, like, you're a person, you're here, you're local, and they won't shy away from knowing you're accessible and reaching out and asking you anything with a phone call, with a text message. So just hospitality is number one. And then as you're talking to those guests, you're putting notes in the reservations, it's their honeymoon anniversary, all the different reasons that they're coming, and you can do little gestures that are really cost effective, cost almost nothing, a handwritten card to say happy anniversary or whatever up there. I got cute little plaid dog handkerchiefs. So if I know they're bringing a dog, I'll send up some plaid handkerchiefs. It's for the good boy, for the fur baby, whatever. You could send up a bottle of, we have like moonshine, wine, cideries here. So send up a bottle of that. I work with a local company, Tennessee Homemade Wines and Ciders, to get my guests a discount, but also I get tremendous discounts on cases of wine and ciders to be able to put up there. And for homeowners too, like the gestures are for the guests and for the homeowners as well. We utilize in-house branding so that they remember our company name, our contact information is there. We utilize a QR code that goes to a link tree, and all sorts of the fun and interesting stuff that we like to do is on the link tree. And I mean, that's a link. So if they find it interesting, they can shoot it off to family and friends who aren't here. The videos have made a huge impact. Those are on the link tree too, but like we're sending them a check-in day video, we're sending them a checkout day video. And when they're there looking at the videos, the algorithms populate the rest of our videos. And so they're seeing that like, oh my God, they are goofy, they're funny, they're actually here, they're in their properties, they're local. And, when we're offering virtual check-ins, and you might not ever get to meet the majority of these people, it's like we're meeting each other. And so there's that trust that's there. And then just like maintenance on staff, having maintenance on staff 365, even 24/7, because we have emergency phones, because like as hard as you try to be perfect, things will happen. So if you have a maintenance staff at your disposal, if a guest calls and they have an issue with something, you send them up and you take care of it, you might end up getting a better review, and you may end up being remembered because of the way we fixed your issue. Whereas if they had a perfect stay, awesome, yay, they love the Smoky Mountains, they may or may not remember us. But if there was a problem and we fixed it, it's like, oh, I know they're going to take care of me, so I'll return to them. These are just some of the things that we do to create repeat bookings and keep people recommending us.
Fantastic, Lauren. You certainly persuaded me to come visit you in the Smoky Mountains one day.
Please do.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I think there's sort of a correlation there with what Isaac's doing, because Isaac, you are on with your social media network as well, and you were talking earlier about creating these one-of-a-kind experiences as well. So how are you able to sort of engender that sense of local hospitality and real personal service, and create direct repeat bookings at the same time?
There is a strong sense of place at Live Oak Lake. So as unique as it is to Texas, it highlights the local landscape, which are these beautiful, magnificent live oak trees, the small pond, and our whole theme is about bringing the outdoors inside the cabin. So we're very much trying to showcase the beauty, the natural beauty that I think is inherent in Central Texas. And we also do branding in the cabin. So the guest book that we have is very clear and is very personal from us, from me, telling our story. It's something that I would want to read if I went to stay in someone else's place. And I think there can be a level of detail and care put into things like a guidebook that make all the difference in the world in just communicating a personal hospitality that goes a long ways in creating those emotional connections with folks. Of course, we have the local things to do. I've taken we've got a lot of high-end appliances. There's a chef's kitchen, and I've taken all the instructions and boiled them down to something that's actually fun to read, so people aren't just like stumbling around and going through newspapers full of rules of what to do. So we put a lot of thought and care into that. We send that PDF, and I should at some point explore Touch Day a little further, but we send it just the simple PDF form of what we give the guests in advance of their stay, so they already have a chance to see it. We of course have message sequences that tell them a little bit about us and our story, and start warming them and preparing them and setting expectations. And then after they leave, we have email sequences that go out, because most of our guests are booking direct. We're able to keep in touch with them via email, and they're usually following us on social. And so we have a stay anniversary email that is automated to go out a year after their stay. We have a thank you email that also gives them a kickback if they refer us to friends. And so we're just creating this snowball of repeat growth. One other thing I'll mention, in addition to just like a beautiful property and tons of amenities and great branding and everything, we have a really carefully crafted welcome gift of fresh baked cookies from the local bakery that our cleaning team actually picks up on their way to turn the cabins over every single day, fresh and homemade, and leaving that with a handwritten note, which I've trained my team to do, welcoming the guests, and a couple Topo Chicos. It's literally that simple. It costs us about $10, but that goes so far, and we get so many comments just about that, because it really is a unique kind of a little further than what other hosts may settle for touch that we're offering, that's connecting us as the hosts with the guests, even though I rarely have the time to go over as much as I would want to. And when I do go over and meet guests, it's really fun as well, and we create those connections as well. But it's just a conglomeration of so many little details, both in the architecture, the design, the landscape, but then also with the hospitality touch points, the communication, the welcome gift, and then following up after their stay, that create that very, very sticky connection with our guests.
So thank you very much, Isaac. We'll head back to Tyann as well, because you've been listening patiently to our other panelist, Tyann. I think from your experience now with TouchStay and your own property management business, what would you say again are the key learnings, the key differences that you've seen when it comes to extending that customer lifetime value? Oh, sorry, you're on mute.
Yep,
it happens to all of us at some point.
I know. Honestly, there's key points that my other panelists have said. And I mean, like Isaac said, top of mind. And what's interesting is there's this book called Top of Mind, and I didn't even know it was out there until the author stayed at one of our properties. And so I'm like looking it up and starting to listen to it on audio. And just listening to how to stay top on mind, I'm like, yes, just reaffirming what we do. And what, Lauren and Dale have mentioned, and Isaac, it's, the emails, the text messages, it's constantly staying top of mind in the different ways that your guests like to communicate with you. The social media is great. Having that engagement. I look at socials more as staying on top of mind with our past and current guests, not necessarily always getting new guests, but that also does come as well. So to me, the key takeaway is top of mind, and that's through the entire journey. And honestly, a guest journey, it's an infinite loop. It just keeps going and going, because as Verbo Expedia put out the data, what was it, 2 weeks ago, that in that pre-booking stage, when they're research and figuring out where they want to go, what they want to do, it's 77% of people are looking at socials now. And they're looking at videos more than anything. So, my thing is, I'm listening to you guys. I love Lauren's checkout video. I've seen it. I'm like, I need to do that this week. I need to do that. But getting those, as Isaac said, emotional connections are so important. And one of the things we do is, when my listing descriptions, I try to make them story-based. So we're having them refreshed. It's been a couple of years because we've added the new properties. But if you go and look at like my Sky Retreat, the purpose is a story and making a connection of exactly who we are and who our target guest is. Letting guests know, we know you. We know your needs and your wants, and we are here to fill those pain points and serve you in the way that you want. Maybe you might not know it, but I'm writing this story out so that we have those emotional connections right away. So yeah, key takeaways, top of mind, emotional connections, stay on socials, and connect. That's the big thing. It's hospitality, connect.
Yep.
Dale, would you like to sort of follow up and just explain what you're doing on TouchStay? Is it the connection with guests? Is it sort of the whole process? Is it a mixture of these things? What are the key learnings that you've had?
Yeah, I think for me, it's kind of what we've always tried to do right in the very beginning, and our journey kind of started with one property where we started to tell that story of us purchasing the property, refurbishing it, design it on socials, and we built quite a nice little following for that property. And I suppose we learned in the early days that being able to do that through social media can drive those direct bookings and really engage those guests. But then what we did was we tried to take that same methodology once we started to generate bookings through the OTAs, whether it be Airbnb, booking.com, etc. And once that booking is in, how do we then take that guest on a host and stay journey? And what do those touch points look like? What does that welcome email look like that they get? What does it look like when they're in the property? You know, whether that be, you know, a physical guide in the property, whether it be a touch stay guide. We used to use the tablets in the properties. So really looking at what is that guest journey from that kind of zero moment of truth of what Tyann touched on, of when they're making that decision ultimately, and then what does that journey look like all the way through, whether they have booked directly or not. How can you get that brand across, get that experience across, because ultimately that's going to contribute them to rebook with you in the future. And that's the way we kind of try and view it. You know, yes, we're always going to rely quite heavily, as we do on Airbnb and booking.com, to generate the volume we have to, but it's about that guest experience once they're with us, and how can we do that and try and keep those guests going forward as well. And so lots of different ways to do it, but certainly trying to keep that front and center is the right approach, I think.
We have had a question for you, Dale, actually, and whilst we're on you, from Jane Mack. So Jane says, Dale, how do the guests feel about the damage waivers? I used to charge security deposits that guests got back if there was no damage. Are the waivers like insurance?
Yeah, so yeah, essentially the damage waiver is an insurance policy. So we charge the guests £25, and that gives them accidental coverage up to 500. So we use that as a self-insuring product. So if the guest does damage up to £500, then we pay for that damage to be rectified. But the guests also do get the opportunity to leave a damage deposit if they want to, which varies by size of property. So it's up to the guest. They can either transfer, you know, a certain value relative to property size, or they can pay that damage waiver. Our conversion is about 75% damage waiver to damage deposit. So most people prefer to pay that £25 fee and kind of have the peace of mind that if something does happen, then that's the end of it. They're covered. And look, I don't think there's actually a perfect way to doing any of it, because if you don't have a damage deposit, you don't have a damage waiver, and the guest does damage, you're still having that awkward conversation to say, well, you've damaged it, you need to pay for it. Like, there's no perfect solution. I think it's, for me, the kind of damage waiver and deposit means if people don't want to transfer a larger value, they can pay quite a small value proportionate to what the actual value is. That at least makes the process easier for everybody involved. It makes it easier for the owner because they've got peace of mind. It makes it easier for us as the property manager and the middleman, because we're negotiating that between the guest and the owner essentially. So yeah, we've really found it helpful, because it means we've got a specific scheme and we know what the process is and we've got rules in place around it. Whereas in the past, when we didn't have something, it was kind of every single event you having to come up with what that solution is, which again is fine at maybe 10, 15, 20 properties. Once you start to scale, you do need that process. You need that black and white process to fall back on. And I do think it is a win-win for everyone involved in that kind of tri-party agreement.
Fantastic. Lauren, I've seen your comments. So I'm going to give you the last word here, saying, what is hospitality without connections? If there's one bit of advice you could leave for our attendees today about extending this customer lifetime value from what you're doing with your own guests at Auntie Belham's, what would that be?
Oh my gosh, that's such a big question.
It is. I feel
just gosh, I don't know, just do something to encourage or provoke conversation. Like every time a guest books, we send them a text and it's like, hey, thanks so much for your booking. If you have any questions about, and then it's bullet points like mountain roads, pet friendly, Wi-Fi, which are the 3 sticky points, because when they get here, those are the 3 things that we might have a problem with, and we were proactive. So it engages conversation, but like, regardless of if it's anything about that, shoot them a text message, open up the floor for conversation, and it's through texting like they do with their family and like their friends, and just And everything you do with them, treat them like you know them, treat them like your family, treat them like your friends. Like, I don't know how else to say it. Like, give them grace, give them love, give them the benefit of the doubt until they don't deserve it anymore. And just, I mean, don't be afraid to send emojis. Don't be afraid to use exclamation marks. Talk to them like you talk to your own friends and family. That will make the biggest difference. When they're enjoying that and when they feel comfortable with that, that you will be their point of contact for everything. It's a big question. I don't know.
You've answered it very well. Use emojis and exclamation marks and everything will work out. Well, that feels like.
Could I add something?
Please.
Quick?
Yes, do.
So we've heard from a lot of great ideas across the board of different businesses, but I want to encourage people to try things out. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. That's okay. Like, I tried grocery delivery services and we realized logistics and people wise, we couldn't do it. It just did not work out for us. So there's different things you can try, but just because it doesn't work doesn't mean you're a complete failure. Just try something else, do a little tweak to it. You know, it's an entire learning process of serving your guests and giving them an amazing stay and being who you are. And because that's what's going to bring them back. And that's your differentiator, is you, yourself. And I encourage you to lean into that, as Lauren just told us.
Excellent. Thank you, Tyann. Wise words as ever, and that feels like a perfect place to conclude today's discussion. But of course, I want to say a big thank you to all of our contributors today, to Isaac, to Dale, to Lauren, of course, Tyann from our sponsors, TouchStay. We've got a couple of slides just to run through very, very quickly before we finish up today. So we are back next Tuesday, the 10th of October, for our Pitch to Pool Dragon's Den Shark Tank style session. Always a lot of fun, that one, as free short-term rental startups pitch for potential investment. So the link is in the chat now, and I'd thoroughly recommend you attend that one. And of course, don't miss out on securing your tickets for our first short-term rentals summit in London on Wednesday, the 18th of October, with Skift as our exclusive media partner. Our exciting speaker list includes the likes of Booking.com, Hopper, Aways, AB Bernstein, Fair Ventures, so many more. So do join us there. The link to get your tickets is in the chat now, and we also have a £100 discount code if you're buying 2 or more tickets. Should also say TouchStay are a sponsor for that too, so even more reason to come along. We're very grateful for TouchStay support. For opportunities to work with us, please do contact my colleagues Piers and Jordan. Their details you can see on screen now. We'll keep the session open for just another 2 minutes at the end if you want to jot down anything that you've seen in the chat today, any contact details. And in the meantime, big thank you again to TouchStay for sponsoring this session. Thank you again to all of our excellent speakers. And of course, thank you to all of you for listening today. We'll see you all again very soon. Thank you, everyone.